Hey, Cardinal fans, Ball State football on February 4th announced 34 new Cardinals enrolling in Ball State University. An exciting day for Coach Uramovich and this entire staff. Chris Radican and Mick Tidrow here to break it all down with you. Chris, this is one of the most fun stretches now that the portal's finally closed, and we can start talking about who these players are and what's going to happen. But first and foremost, appreciate you hopping on and talking about Ball State football here.
As always, Mick, I'm going to join you. I love talking about this. I could talk about this till the cows come home. The best part about this, you talked about a fun stretch. The best part about this, we're not doing this again, like we have in the past couple of years, right? There used to be that spring portal, that late spring portal, where we'd have 15 guys go through spring ball and then they bail, and which is fine. That is what it is. That's the landscape of college football now. But we're not doing this again in May. I promise you that, because it doesn't exist anymore. So really excited to talk Ball State football as always. I know I'm getting blown up with text messages from all angles. Hey, how was the signing day and all that? And Coach Uramovich hit a home run this year, big time, guys. If you're watching this, understand that the production that they brought in, that they're bringing in as we speak, is probably going to translate into a really special season this year in 2026.
I think we're all really excited to see it play out. We're 7 months away from kickoff. I think everybody can't wait that long, but 25 players joining the program from the portal, 9 mid-year enrollees that are freshmen, and then there's the total of 25 transfers. There's 3 freshmen who will report this summer for Ball State, and then 4 transfer signees that will report this summer as well. So there's a breakdown of how this all goes for the football program. And Chris, want to go position by position and just break down how this all shook out for Ball State football, and start off with the quarterback position. 3 players brought in to play and compete for quarterback.
Yeah, so they brought in a high school kid, which is very, very smart, to try to develop a kid. It may pan out for you at the end. And then two kids from the college level that are transferring up, and a kid from Texas State, a kid from Concord, which is a D2 program, and then obviously a kid from the Chicagoland area from, I think it was West Aurora. West Aurora High School. And Mason Atkins. Mason Atkins is a really good player. That's a really good program, really strong league out there in the western suburbs. He'll be a nice addition to that room, and you'll hear me say that a lot on this. I talk about the room. When I talk about the room, I'm talking about a position group. So room equals position group. So he'll be a really nice addition to that room. And then the 2 transfers they've got in is Tyler Mazzell and Keldrick Luster. So a kid from Texas State, our second Texas State transfer, and in the past few years, and then Tyler Mazzell. Tyler Mazzell brings a real nice athleticism to the position, not unlike what we saw with Kyle Kelly the past year. But he's also got the passing ability and the drop back ability that we saw the year before with Caden and Samanza. And so you're going to see a real nice feature out of him. The Lester kid from transfer from the Texas State program. He big kid, thick kid, looks like a linebacker. Plays hard. It'll be a definite quarterback battle as they enter the spring. I know Coach U and his staff and Craig and those guys, they're chomping at the bit right now to get on the field with those guys and see who can do what in this offense, who can handle the terminology and distributing the ball and all that. So it'll be a real nice feature we see this spring. I know last year it's a lot different than last year. When we went into spring ball, we knew who the starter was, right?
Right.
We knew it was going to be Kyle. He made that very clear from the get-go that Kelly was going to be the starter this year. I think we've got a little bit of a battle. Obviously, Mazzell is going to bring a little bit more experience playing-wise, production-wise. So he's going to have a leg up maybe. If we want to prognosticate, I don't think that's fair to either kid. So I won't do that on here, but I know that's usually where it lies. Is they're going to look for production, and so who can produce. And I think what we've got are 2 kids that can compete and show production on the field.
So Concord transfer Tyler Mazzell joining the program, Texas State transfer in Keldrick Luster joining the program, and then you mentioned it, Mason Atkins also from the high school ranks in that room as well, announced on February 4th. So that's the 3 quarterbacks that Ball State football is bringing in onto the running back room, Chris. This is loaded with athleticism here, and I think brings a lot of excitement to what this room could be. That was strong all season last year and has proven to be very strong at Ball State.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. It was already a loaded room with Jalen Bonds and Jalen Alexander and some of those other guys coming back, right? And now we're going to add two really strong running backs. And running backs is one of those positions, Mick, that you don't want to say plug and play, but it's pretty close. There's a couple positions on the field that are plug and play. Running backs is pretty close, not the most plug and play, but Anthony McMullen and Johnny Thompson, both really strong running backs, big, fast, strong runners, got really good vision, really good instincts. What you're going to see out of these kids, the ability to move the ball, fall forward when you get tackled, make cuts, break tackles, and things like that. And so you've got obviously Johnny Thompson coming from a Power 4 program, in Kansas that's been on the upswing. They're trending a little bit. They're doing a really good job out there. Lance Leopold, they're doing a really nice job out there in Lawrence. And then a high school kid, Anthony McMullen's coming from Massillon, Ohio. Well, we all know that that's a hotbed of high school football. If you're a good running back out of Massillon, Ohio, you're probably a pretty good player. So it's a good bet on this kid to bring him in. What it's going to do in the running back room, it's going to press some. We saw the emergence of Jalen Bonds in the latter part of last season. Jalen Alexander is always going to be in the mix of that. So you're going to have those guys are going to get pressed a little bit. Now we've got numbers, and numbers help with that attrition rate as guys maybe get dinged up. We saw that last year with some of our other guys. So I'm excited about the running back. One of the things you want to make sure is they're going to get all kinds of carries in the spring. Everybody who's got one of those 20 or 30 numbers that carries the ball, they're going to get lots and lots of carries in the spring because they're going to see who can do what, and they're going to get carries in real tough situations, those group drills, inside run, things like that, where you're going head-to-head, where you're really trying to get after it. They're going to see who's tough, who can carry the ball into November, and search for a MAC championship.
You said it, the two guys being brought in, Johnny Thompson Jr., running back, transfer from Kansas, and then the freshman Anthony McMullen from Ohio coming into Ball State football's program. And I think that's one interesting point. The spring is a big time to test everybody, especially at the running back room, because carries are limited. Everybody wants the carries. I think the spring will be a good tell of how things could go for the summer and the fall for this group. But man, that's an exciting, explosive backfield.
Yeah, and we all know Coach Yu and his staff, they're run centric, right? They want to run the football. They want to move the ball, carry the rock, move the football, rely on the guys up front. And so they're gonna find a guy that can do that. We saw that last year with the guys we had, and especially, like I said, I know I go back to this a lot, that the emergence of Jalen Bonds in the latter part of the season. I think we all like him and we all know what he can do. Is he going to be pressed? Is he going to be taken over? Is he going to bring those guys with him? That's the great part about competition, is it creates a lot of opportunities for guys.
Great part of competition is looking at the wide receiver room, Chris, because this room brought in a lot of newcomers as well. 4 transfer players coming in, a couple of incoming freshmen as well enrolling. This is a group that is going to be very competitive this year because the Cardinals lost a decent amount of wide receivers via portal, graduation. They had a lot of spots to fill. And Jabari Smith Jr., Corey Thompson Jr., DJ Young, alongside with CJ Nelson, all transfers coming into the program. Ace Cooper and Mark Hannaford, wide receivers coming in as mid-year enrollees as freshmen. So there's 6 right there out of this group of players we're talking about. This is one of the heaviest groups of players coming in terms of the amount of players.
And we already had some good receivers in that room, right? And now we bring 6 more in, and then we lost a few, that goes back to the world we live in right now. But you got Ace Cooper out of Middletown, Ohio, Middletown High School, another great program, a powerhouse in southwestern Ohio. You've got Mark Hannaford from South Florida, Boynton Beach, I believe. Always a hotbed. So you're talking about kids that can probably compete at a high level.
Also, how does Florida sound this time of year right now with what we're going through?
Like better than here, because I can tell you right now, we got like 1.5 inches of snow right now. It's miserable. So that sounds pretty good. And then you got Mark Hannaford from South Florida. You've got CJ Nelson, which I think might be, in my opinion, from what I've seen, he might be the shining star of this recruiting group. The coaches will never admit that, but boy, that kid can fly. He is absolutely fast. He's got some wheels. Jabari Smith from Florida Atlantic, going to be a really nice addition to that room. Corey Thompson, got to be the second best athlete ever to come from the state of Utah. behind the great Mick Tidrow, I'm sure. So
You and Kevin Messenger have both been, giving me some things about that, but I'm excited to see Corey Thompson Jr. play football because we all know that that's way above what you're looking at here.
come on, man. And then DJ Young, he comes from Siena Heights, and if I'm I could be mistaken. If I'm wrong, I apologize to any Siena Heights fans out there or people who know that program. I think that school actually closed. I think, or they closed their program, one of the two. So I would have to get my Google machine out and check that out. But I'm pretty sure that program had some drama going on. So he had to find a spot. He's another good one. Comes in with a lot of skills, good ball skills, yards after the catch, things like that, and it's all added to what I talk about. You talk about a plug and play position. A kid can be 18 years old and really come in and excel at the FBS level. And that's wide receivers, one of those groups. And wide DBs, the other group. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. It's going to be a true competition to get the 2 or 3 receiver spots that Coach Hughes sets up with every single play and every single series, because you and I both know, and any Cardinal fans out there know, there's usually going to be at least one, probably 2 tight ends on the field every time, which limits your receiver reps, which means that kids like Donovan Hamilton and Patel and those kids, they're really going to get pressed to make sure that they can solidify their spots by these newcomers. Obviously, the high school kids are going to be a little bit more behind. I'm not calling them out specifically because of who they are. It's just that's how it is. The kids with actual, I'm talking about C.J. Nelson and some of those kids that have played. Corey Thompson have played it already in college. It's going to press that room to where it's going to elevate the play of all those kids. You drop a ball, there's a dude right behind you that's going to catch the ball the next time, right? So you miss a block on an outside zone play, there's a guy right behind you that wants to make that block. So competition, again, will breed success in that position room, and I think we're going to see that with these additions to that position.
Chris, you mentioned DJ Young from Siena Heights University. The university is going to close at the end of the 25-26 academic year, so you were correct with DJ. Excited to have him on the team in addition to the other 5 wide receivers. So that's DJ Young from Siena Heights University transferring in, Corey Thompson Jr., Utah State transfer, Jabari Smith Jr., transfer from Florida Atlantic, and then C.J. Nelson from Eastern Illinois alongside Ace Cooper and Mark Hannaford, wide receivers coming in as freshmen from Ohio and Florida, respectively. So that rounds out the wide receiver group. And before we get to your group, the offensive line, because I know you've been itching to get to the offensive line group, we should have started with that. That's my bad. That's my bad.
Yeah.
Not knowing my analyst very well, I guess. But let's go over to the tight end group, because you mentioned that what we've seen from this tight end group is they play a lot, and they have to replace a lot of tight ends with how many went out after this year with graduations and players just being done at Ball State football. So they had to replace a lot of spots. What jumps out to you about the tight end group?
Well, a couple. Well, first of all, there's 5 of them. That's a lot to bring in. I know that last year, and Coach you can correct me if he sees this. I'm sorry, Mike. But I know in the spring they didn't have a lot of tight ends either healthy or in spring ball yet because of the 2 portals and how that was working. They didn't have a lot of depth at tight end for the spring. So having those kids on campus, every single one of them will be here. Are there now. So what they have, what they bring back. So having more tight ends will accelerate the process of how they install their offense and how they get reps and who they think can play by the competition that it will breed. So, who stands out? I know that initially you got 2 high school kids, with the A.J. Seymour and Lucas Andresen. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. I think A.J. Seymour played quarterback his senior year, if I read that correctly. I'd have to go through my notes, but so these are 2 good athletes. They're not the biggest kids in the world, but the nice thing about getting them on campus quickly is they're going to put on 20 pounds probably by June, and then try to maintain that weight through the summer as they go through the weight program. And then who stands out? So you've got kids like Sean Ward and Alex Sherley, who come from two programs, Dartmouth and Rice, 2 academic-based programs or universities that they're going to be smart. They're going to pick up the installs really quickly, the terminology, the verbiage, the rules, and all that stuff. And plus, they're really big kids. They're really big, strong kids. And then you've got Cole Coonrod, who's coming in from Hutchinson Junior College, who's produced other tight ends for this program and other players. And we all know if you follow Hutchinson, that's an elite. That's a Mick Tidrow word, by the way. Elite, elite. That's an elite JC program out
It
there.
is.
And so that produces a slew of Power Four kids every year. That program does. Um, so it's a strong group. It's going to create a lot. Again, I go back to this. I know I sound like a little bit like a broken record, but the depth and the skill level of the kids they brought in that position is really going to hone the skills and create that competition where that's going to be another good group. And we know that a Mike Urimovich team is going to use two tight ends. So what I call 12 personnel, one running back, two tight ends. They're going to use 12 personnel quite a bit. This will feed right into that philosophy for what Coach Yu and his staff run on offense. So big, strong kids that can block, get out in the flat, run down the seam. They're not going to be running. None of these kids are going to be running a deep corner or a post or anything like that, but they're going to be running those spot passes, the pop passes, run out to the flat, reach block, down block, all the things that he wants them to do. All these kids can do that in spades.
So 5 tight ends brought into
It's a
Ball
lot.
State football. Cole Coonrod, the tight end from Hutchinson Community College. You mentioned A.J. Seymour. He did play quarterback, moved around a little bit in high school. So we know what Ball State's been able to do with quarterbacks that transition to tight end full-time at the collegiate level. That has been something that works out for Ball State
Yeah.
football.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I think about Christian Abney, right? Everybody thought he's a quarterback in high school. They made him into a tight end and what I assumed at the time was, what are they thinking? And then I talked to Coach New when they recruited him. He's like, no, this kid's gonna be pretty good, And I took Coach New at his word, and he wasn't wrong. The kid is really good. So they're gonna do that again with somebody else. It's pretty neat how sometimes a coach can see a kid do one thing and say that will translate to this right here. So there's a reason these guys are FBS coaches.
And you have to look at Brady Hunt, players like him as well that
Brady Hunt's
came
another
from Ball
one.
State football.
Yeah.
Maximus Webster is another one
Max
that
Webster was
we
another one.
we saw do some pretty cool things when he was a tight end, but he would jump under center a couple of times. We saw that.
Yeah.
So Ball State moving quarterbacks to tight ends has worked in the past. Excited to see what that looks like. In addition to AJ, you mentioned Lucas Anderson, tight end out of Illinois, joining, and then some signees that will report this summer with Alex Shirley from Rice, and then
Yeah.
also Sean Ward from Dartmouth. Those two
Yeah.
will join in the summer to complete that 5 tight end group. So that's
Yeah.
the offense, Chris. Outside
Yeah,
of
that's the
offensive line, that's the offense, and that's an exciting group. We'll talk about O linemen here in a second, but from the skill position group members, that's a lot of players coming in, and a lot of
it
tight ends
really
and a
is.
lot of wide receivers.
Right. It is. A lot of kids, and remember there's how many footballs on the field at one time? There's only one. So
I know you're good at math, so I trust you when you say that.
no, said no one ever. So yeah, there's one football, but the tight ends are here for a reason. And don't let anybody kid you about it. They're here to block. Okay. And occasionally they're going to catch a pass, and occasionally they're going to catch a touchdown pass. So but they're here for one reason and one reason only. They're going to down block on gap schemes, and they're going to reach block on zone schemes. So that's why they're here.
So can you hold up your helmet from when you played before we talk about the offensive line group? You have your helmet, don't you?
I do.
You do. I think we need to see it. I don't know if the people have ever seen Chris Radican's game-worn helmet yet, and I think this is the perfect time to bring it out. Look at that thing.
Hey, it's not leather.
I wasn't going to go there, but now that you did,
Yeah, that's all.
75 on there.
They weigh twice as much as the new ones do. It's crazy how much they weigh.
Show us the face mask. I think everyone wants to see what the face mask looked like back in the 1920s.
Wow, that was neat.
Looks good. Looks good.
Inside,
So
still looks.
that's how we kick off talking about offensive linemen.
It's still weird. True story. And when Ball State played at Notre Dame was about 7 or 8 years ago. I wore it during the tailgate the whole day.
No, you did
The whole
not.
tailgate.
You did not.
I'll send you a picture. There are pictures. So, yep, I was able to drink a beverage through the face mask. So
You're one of a kind. You're one of a
Yeah.
kind, Chris
Yeah.
Radican, ladies and gentlemen. Let's dive into this group because it's a group that brings in a bunch of talent as well, and every team's losing offensive linemen regularly at the end of every season because of graduation portal. Ball State no different than that, but they'll have incoming freshmen that will be mid-year enrollees.
Yeah, so Nolan Cicero. His dad Tom is the offensive line coach at Crown Point. His dad's a really good coach. Been a high school coach in Indiana for probably 25 years. I know I could probably be wrong on that number. Pretty long time of a great program at Crown Point that's gone, I think, 35-2 over the past 3 years, or 35-3 over the past 3 years. Got beat in the state championship 2 years ago. Has been a semi-state contender every year. They've gone undefeated. So Nolan has played on some really special teams up there. Special by what I mean is really good elite teams in the region and the Duneland Conference. He's a big, strong kid, kind of a road grader kid. As he gets in, Nolan, if you're watching this, you're going to need to work on your lateral movement a little bit. He's going to be a really good player for us. My question is, Cal, can a true freshman play in the FBS level? That's tough for these two kids. They're going to have to develop a little bit. If anybody in the world can get these kids developed, it's going to be out. It's Coach Barr, who I think is a wonderful offensive line coach. So under under his tutelage, they're going to be really in really good hands. Both him and Sam Spicer. So
and Coach, you obviously having the background of being a offensive line coach.
Yeah, his pedigree is offensive line. So it's important to him. And I know I've talked about this on other podcasts and with you. When your head coach is an O-line guy, your team is just built different, right? When your coach has emphasis on the offensive line, on the upfront play, then your team is going to reflect that and how they do things, about how they go about their business. So it's going to be a selfless team. It's going to be a grinding team, a team-centric group of kids, unselfish. So, and what you're going to get with Coach Alex Barr is he's going to develop those kids to be tough. He's going to develop them to run block, how to pass block. He's going to work, they're going to work together well. There's going to be a chemistry. There's going to be a lot of cross training, meaning that tackles will play guards and guards will play centers and centers will play tackles and guards. So a lot of times there's not any one position with a coach like that. You're going to have guys that can play any of the 5 positions, so that when and if and when injuries happen, you've got a guy, hey, look, I know you're a center, but I need you to play left tackle for a couple series so we get this guy back. You know what I mean? So, and Sam Spicer comes from a really good program down there in Mount Juliet, which is I believe it's an eastern suburb of Nashville. Nice area. I've got some friends down in that area. It's it's beautiful down there. Gosh. And
you have friends everywhere, Chris.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
But I'll say it for you. You do.
So Sam will come in. Sam's got great size. I want to say he is, 6'5", 275. Online, what I've read about him, maybe 6'4", whichever. He's still big. Still really big kid, a large human. And, these are 2 high school kids that are going to come in, develop, find a way to get on the field. And I know they'll fit right in. I know with Coach Cicero raising that kid up there in Crown Point, Nolan, his kid will be ready to go to do whatever. So, and Sam Spicer, I doubt the program he came from down in Nashville, he'll be ready to go as well. So, the key will get them ready to play on Saturday.
Looking at some of the transfers that are coming in here too, Misael Sandoval joining the program from Vanderbilt, Chula Vista, California native. Jacob Judy also coming in from Concord University from Miami, Florida, and then. Those are 2 big names coming in from the transfer portal from an offensive line. Don't think I'm missing anybody from the offensive line group, right? From the transfer.
Max Wentz. He'll be there
yes.
summer.
Yes.
Yeah. And so like Judy's probably in my opinion, one of those guys that was a true prize in the they're all these signees are great, guys. If you're listening, every one of these signees is great. Judy's a kid that was super productive at Concord, played a lot of reps. Very good player, accomplished player.
All conference player.
Yeah, all conference. That's a kid that can come in and hit the ground running right now as we speak. He's probably there. He's already probably leading that room. He's probably, helping make calls and things like that, getting everybody on board. Sandoval is a kid that was a backup at Vandy, and you're like, well, why did we get a backup at Vandy? Guys, here's the deal. Vanderbilt had one of the top 1 or 2 offensive lines in the country last year. Like, their O-line was as good as Notre Dame, as good as IU, as good as Miami. Their O-line group was as good as any group out there in the country. They were up for the Joe Moore Award.
Yeah, they were a fringe college football playoff team. And
correct,
offensive line anchors that group.
Correct. And so he was a backup to those guys, right? So Sandoval probably would have played at a lot of other schools, and now he's going to play for us. You know what I mean? So, and he's another kid, provides great size. Obviously, this goes without saying. If you go to Vanderbilt, there's a pretty good chance that you have a good head about you. He's pretty smart. My guess is, I'd hate to be presumptive, but my guess is he's going to have a good head on him. So he'll be able to pick up the offense pretty quickly, and he'll be able to listen to instruction, and they'll get him on board. He's going to be a nice, he and Judy are going to be real nice additions. When I go back to the same phrase, the plug and play kid, they're probably the two kids that, no offense to the kids that are already here, he's probably one of those kids that's going to just jump right in and help take over. Up front, Max Wentz is a kid coming from Dartmouth. I was reading about, looking him up. He's a kid that, what I get is he's probably one of the smarter guys on campus right when he gets here, and won some science awards, and he went to Dartmouth, which is Ivy League. The only way I was going to an Ivy League was if I just got in my car and went and visited there. They didn't want any part of me. So, these are 5 really nice additions, 2 development kids, 3 kids that can probably come in and play right now. And it all starts up front. I've talked to you about that until the cows came home. If you can be really good up front offensively, you're going to have a really good team. That's almost a default bowl game when you're really good up front. Now, if you're really, really good up front, you can elevate that team to a next level. So these are the guys that are going to carry it for the whole. These guys and the D-line guys are the guys that are going to carry it the whole year.
So it's Wentz, Judy, and Sandoval coming in as college players already, and Wentz will join the team this summer. He's one of the 4 that'll join in the summer, and the only offensive lineman that will. And then you mentioned Judy and Sandoval; those 2 are mid-year enrollee transfers, alongside the two freshmen coming in with Cicero and Spicer. So that makes up the offensive line group. Exciting group to talk about as well. That's the offense right there. That's a lot of players for the offensive side to come in. A couple of quarterbacks, running backs, 6 wide receivers, 5 tight ends, 5 offensive linemen. That is the newcomers from the offensive standpoint. Let's jump over.
And those are the names you're going to be calling this fall. Those are the names you're going to be talking about, who's making plays, right? So, and not so much the O-line, but, the wide receivers and running backs and things like that. Those are the names you're going to be calling for touchdowns. And then I'll chime in and say, great block by Jacob Judy. So
we talk about offensive linemen, Chris. We do. We do.
Yeah, we do. If you and I are a team, we do. Yes,
we do. We make sure. We make sure. Going over the defense, another group that this is exciting because Coach Yu had talked about it in our conversation with him a couple of days ago, just about how they really wanted to get bigger, faster, stronger on the back end of the defense and continue to add to the depth and the strength of the D-line that they felt like that they had last year with so many returners. This is an interesting group that they're bringing in, starting with incoming freshmen that are mid-year enrollees. That's Mason Holbrook, freshman from Hamilton High School in Hamilton, Ohio. That's
another great program.
Who will lead off with, great program, and somebody I know they're super excited about to get in the room and start going.
Yeah, so he's a kid. It kind of looks to me like he's almost ready. He's going to have to put on a little bit of weight, but he can play. He can play a couple different positions up front, whatever scheme they're running. He can play inside. He can play a little bit outside, kind of like what we had last year or the year before with Darren Conley. He's a kind of kid that he's big. He can. What are his numbers? Anyway, he's a big, strong kid. He's kind of 6'3", almost ready.
275.
Yeah, so he's a kid that you put a couple more pounds on him, he can play inside very effectively. Take some, get him faster as the winter and the spring and the summer roll around. He can play outside too, so he's kind of a dual threat up front, depending on if they're running a 3 or 4 man game. So he's going to be a real nice addition. Hamilton's another one of those programs, really, really good program. I know their head coach. I used to coach for him. He's a really good dude. He was a head coach 1 year here in Indiana. I worked for him, so he knows what he's doing. So I'm really excited for him. It's a nice pickup for him. He chose Ball State over Miami and Ohio and a couple other MAC schools that we haven't had tremendous luck with lately. And so it shows the relationship and the recruiting that this staff did, and to steal him from Hamilton. If you don't know, guys, it's only 12 miles from Oxford. It's just south of Oxford. So
it's right there.
I mean, it's right outside of Oxford. So we went down there and poached one of the guys locally that could have played for them. We're going to take him. We're going to have him play for us. So,
I love it. I love it. And then you look
yeah.
at some of the mid-year enrollee transfers for the team that was announced on February 4th. Again, all the players we're talking about were announced as part of the February 4th group. So everybody who was before or after we can't talk about for specific reasons, but this is for the February 4th released group that we're having the conversation about. Looking at the transfers for mid-year enrollees, Jared Beatty is coming in as a defensive end. San Diego State transfer. There's a
Yeah.
lot to be excited about.
He reminds me a little bit of if for last year's team, he reminds me a little bit of a Dewan Eccles, big, strong, fast, plays physical, plays a bit more physical than his size than what he appears on paper. He's one of those kids that comes from a program at San Diego State, had some reps there, decided, hey, San Diego's not a nice enough climate for me. I'm going to Muncie, Indiana. Let's go. And I love it. I'm here for it. So San Diego State, home of the great Dave Sopranik, one of our great defensive end. He was one of our sack leaders until Nathan Voorhees came in. So so anyway, yeah, Jared's going to be a really nice addition to Coach Knoll's defense and how they like to rush the passer. I'm not saying he's going to have Nate Voorhees type numbers, but he's going to be he's going to be a problem. Basically, that's the best way I can say it about Jared Beatty. He's going to be a problem for offensive tackles in the MAC next year. So, and then in our Northwestern Ohio State, they're going to struggle with this kid, Mick. They really are, because he is that good. He's that fast off the ball. He's physical. He shoots his hands really well. He runs his feet. Gets off blocks, he sheds blocks. He's really good. I like this kid a lot. I'm excited to see him play. He's one of those kids. There's a 3 or 4 of them I have starred here on my notes that I'm really excited to see play for us next year on Saturdays, and he's one of them.
Love how you almost said next Saturday because you're amped up and ready to go. Like you want to play football too. Let's backyard football in the snow. Let's go.
Well, at least if it was next Saturday, I know it'd be warmer than it is here right now.
Well, you could say next Tuesday or Wednesday at this point too with midweek.
That's true. That's true.
So he's labeled as a defensive end, so we're grouping him in with the defensive lineman conversation.
He'll play with his hand on the ground. He might play in a 2-point stance, but he'll be up front more than anything. He's not going to be a drop. He doesn't strike me as a kid they're going to drop a lot because of the way the ability that he has to play in a physical ball game up front. So, and then Kendrick Gilbert, is another kid. He's a local kid from Cathedral who was an absolute wrecking ball in high school. It's incredible. Was heavily recruited out of high school. Played a little bit at Kentucky, a little bit at Louisville, not as much as he probably liked. I'm guessing Kendrick is now looking to get more playing time. He's going to get it here because he's going to be at 6'5", 265. He's almost like an O lineman. He's just a little bit lighter than an O lineman, so he's big, and he's got a lot of skills. He's going to be a nice kid that can play the 3 technique, can play inside a little bit. He can play. We could probably line him up in a 5 or a 7 at times, depending on what they're doing offensively. When I think about like what Northern Illinois does with their inside zone game, you could play him at a 5 technique to take away the outside bounce. So. Kendrick's a real good. Played on one of the winningest programs ever in the state of Indiana at Cathedral. So he knows how to play. And they play. If anybody knows the schedule the Cathedral plays, they play almost a national. It's regional, but because of the Indiana rules, they can't play national games. But they play some top tier teams from Ohio, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee. So he's played in some big ball games, and then he's had his time with Louisville and in the SEC at Kentucky. So he's going to be a real nice addition. Maverick Gracio, kid from Pitt, reminds me a lot of Nathan Voorhees. Again, another Dewan Eccles, kind of like what Jared Beatty's going to. So this is kind of a bookend to Jared. What a great name, too, by the way. Maverick.
I mean there's so
how
much
excited
to go
are
there.
you?
There's so much to go there.
How excited are you to call that name, right? And I can't wait to hear your Top Gun references as we call games. So.
Just can't wait for a pick 6. Not to put that on you, Maverick, but we're just saying usually we don't script out calls, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's very important to decipher, not scripting out a call, but the ideas can start turning a little bit. So, Maverick, we would love it. We love a pick 6 at some point.
No pressure, Maverick. Come on.
Don't let us scoop and score on a fumble or a big sack. I mean, a big sack, we can do that too. We can do that.
Yeah, like throwing like the highway to the danger zone as he runs into the end zone, right?
Man, so, if we could get licensed to that to put on the air when he
we probably can't do that.
Yeah, but that'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Jeff Mitchell will pay the fine. He didn't care. He's fine.
At Jeff Mitchell BSU on Twitter X.
and then Miles Hancock, he's a JC kid out of Cali. He's going to bring a nice change of pace type kid up front. Keelan Smith is a huge kid from University of Cincinnati. I believe he's 330, if I remember correctly. I think his numbers are just off the charts.
Yes, 330.
I mean, that's an extraordinarily large human. So if you're 330 pounds, so you're talking about a kid that can play inside, can be a wrecking ball, can be a kid that can really disrupt teams like when we talk about Kent State or Northern or Ohio, who love their inside zone gap scheme stuff. He's a kid that can really disrupt that type of scheme and that type of concept, in that he's gonna consume two blockers on every play, which allows those linebackers, which we'll talk about later, to run free. So that's a kid that's pivotal to your up front play, just like having good inside interior linemen on the offensive line. Having kids like that inside that you can just say, I don't have to worry about the A and B gap here because that kid's going to take care of it. So when you have that in your arsenal, it allows you to do things, be more creative and more exotic on the outside that are disruptive to offenses. So he'll be a really nice addition. Austin Steve is a kid that comes from Davenport. He's a D2 kid who's obviously very productive. He's going to come in. He's going to be able to compete. And then Kayshawn Thomas is a kid from Wake Forest, another kid, comes from a really nice academic institution of the ACC. He's going to have seen things that some of these other kids haven't seen, so he's going to be able to elevate the play of others as well, because he's going to know how to compete and how to get after it in the spring to kind of bring that D-line group, which was already a really good group going into the signing day. He's going to be able to kind of elevate that room a little bit. So I'm excited about the D-line. The D-line for me was the highlight of the signing group. And that's just my opinion. And wide receiver and wide receiver was a close second. But D-line was one of those groups, because if you can stop the run in the MAC in late November, or mid to late November, you're going to win ball games, and that's what they need to do.
And they went out and almost got double-digit amount of players to fill all the spots of players who left by graduation or the transfer portal. They went out and made sure they got playmakers on that defensive line.
That's right. And these are, again, these are guys that are come in and play right now. Right now, if the game were tomorrow, if we were lining up in Columbus tomorrow, these are your guys. A lot of these guys, no offense to the guys that are already here, those guys are going to have to come along with them. And so it's going to be a good group, and you need to have a deep group, right? You're going to have guys get dinged up as the year goes on. You're going to have guys, go down a little bit. And so to have depth is huge. That's so important in college football these days.
I mean, Chris, 7 of those guys were on a college roster before joining Ball State. That's a pretty heavy group of players with experience being on a college football program. That adds a lot. That's in one room. 7 guys on the defensive line they're bringing in that were already in college at one point in their career. That's pretty massive.
So you don't have to show those guys how to do things, right? So it takes that learning curve and kind of flattens it a little bit for Coach Sawicki, right? As he's starting his process in the spring, he doesn't have to teach them how to study film. He doesn't teach them how to show up for this workout or this drill. They've already seen that drill. All the drills are the same around the country. So they've already seen it. They're just going to be able to go. So,
all right, let's move to linebackers. Another group that was group that they attacked pretty heavily. 6 guys brought in from the linebacker group.
I had 4, but that's fine. I'll talk about 4. But I know Carson Burkhardt is a kid from Valpo, and I'm guessing, what we heard from Coach Yu was talking about the relationships they already had with kids and the recruiting in the past, wherever school they were. And that was probably a kid that they saw who went to Valpo, didn't play a lot, but they saw something in him. He's a good-sized kid with a lot of speed. If he played high school linebacker, so he's going to know how to read keys. He's going to know how to play the run. He's going to know how to drop into his coverages. So this is a kid I think they're going to look at to give him a real strong look to play inside. He's more of an inside guy. I like Jovan Clark from Washington State. Kid played in a good program out there in Washington State and Pullman. He's going to be a nice addition. Caleb Stewart's a kid from JC who had extraordinary numbers in college, tackle wise. Kid that made plays all over the field. 210, I think he's about 210. And then, you got Cole Minette, who's a preferred walk on from Delta. That's a nice addition because he was a really good two-way player at Delta, which has been a pretty good program the past few years. And that's Coach Billy Lynch, former Ball State Card. So, coaching out there. So, if I missed two, I apologize, but maybe my notes weren't very good.
No,
so,
you're all good. It is really cool to have Delta high grad be a part of Ball State football. That was really cool. I know on social media there was a lot of conversation centered around Cole. So really cool to see that happen for Ball State. And
one of the things about him is you're going to get a kid who's like he grew up in the shadows of the shoe, right? He grew up just down the street from that stadium. Probably not to be, I don't know, I'm not trying to assume anything, but he probably went to a lot of games growing up the past few years, right? And so he's going to he's already a fan. His parents are already probably fans, and he's going to be playing in front of a lot of people he already knows. So he's going to work. The kid like that's going to work probably extra hard. He's going to be more motivated. He wants to do well for the hometown team and all that. So really neat story for him. I'm proud of that kid. He's a really good player, by the way. So
other two linebackers were Sincere Lewis and Gavin Forsha. Lewis from Cincinnati and Forsha from Tennessee State. So those two are in addition to the other four we just mentioned.
Another great name, Sincere from UC. That's a great name. So I know it's not spelled like the normal enunciation or the normal what you would think was the normal pronunciation, but so he's a good player too. Played at UC. Had a great program going for a while. It's still a Power 4 program. It's still a really good program. So those are two kids that are really going to help you. So
that's the linebacker group.
I had Sincere as a DB, so shame on me.
No, you're good. You had him on your list. So you give yourself credit. You had him on your list.
Yes, I crossed him off. DBs wise, again, this is one of those like wide receiver. This is one of those plug and play groups, right? You can play a freshman, and it's maybe not hurt you as much. Those kids are more ready than other positions at DB, whether they're corner or safety. There's a lot of them, and it's a big group. It's a big group. I think it's so I've got 6 here is what I have.
I have 6 as well. That's a pretty healthy group.
You talk about Stone Perkins. It's a high school kid from Kentucky. I can't. Again, another one. I can't wait for you to fit that name Stone into your vernacular as you go through a game call. That'll be a nice. Gavin Yates, Lions, comes from Lowndes High School. If you know anything about Lowndes, and I'm guessing a lot of people who watch this have driven to Florida on spring break before, right?
There's a guarantee that there's a decent amount of people that have gone Indiana to Florida for spring break.
Indiana to Florida. As you drive through Florida, right when you hit that Florida-Georgia line, right on the border is a little town called Valdosta, Georgia. And there's a huge high school. It sits right on I-75. Their stadium is ginormous. And he played at that high school, so Lowndes High School. So they had fun trivia. They had their head coach for years was a guy named Rush Probst who was on remember that show on MTV called 2-A-Days? Do you remember that?
I never watched it. No,
I didn't either, but he was that coach. So he went to that. That was a powerhouse Georgia program. And we all know Georgia high school football in a lot of people's eyes is as elite as it gets out there. So even maybe more than Texas sometimes. Shame on me, Texas people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, watch out. By the way, the only MTV show I think I ever watched was Ridiculousness. So
it's still on. It's great.
It's still running. Rob Dyrdek, right? He's still going.
Yeah. And the other guy passed. What's his name? Rest in peace. God, I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Yeah. Right. That's a great show. That's one of those guilty pleasures. I love that you said that because I watch it too. So
I'll just say, usually when you go to a hotel on the road, for some reason, MTV's on, and Ridiculousness is more often than not what is on. So that's.
Oh yeah. That guy made so much money off that show, Rob Dyrdek, because it's in syndication. He's just cashing in. It's just a dumb show he feels. I mean, anyway, it's great. You got Cedric Franklin from Arkansas State. Again, a good program. Comes in. He's going to be able to play for us. Chris Jackson from Colorado State coming from that school. Going to be a real nice addition. You've got a summer enrollee and Deontay Griffin. Again, he'll be in the mix as well. And then Stu Smith, was, in my opinion, Sterling Smith. He goes by Stu. He was a really underrated kid. Cathedral. I think I want to say he was a he was at least a 3-year starter. He might have been a 4-year starter at Cathedral. Was a really nice player. Was able to help them win a lot of big games at Cathedral. So he's a kid that's going to come in. He's a big kid that can play the safety. He can play good in coverage. Good run player. Good pass defender as well. So there's a lot of kids there that are going to be able to come in and just kind of hit the ground running with those coaches. Coach Smith will get them going. We all know that. And that's a good group. That was a good addition to this team, was this DB group. This is a group that's really going to make an impact this fall. Again, DB is one of those that a lot of people don't see what they do until they do something wrong, right? Oh, he got beat in coverage, right? But they do a lot of good things. They make tackles on run plays. They break up, they like if there's a sack, a lot of times that sack is due to because this kid's had good coverage in the back end, right? So most people only call out DBs or only want to yell about DBs when they do something wrong and they get beat. Hey, guys, if you're watching this, you know as well as I do, there's guys on Sundays, there's guys this Sunday in the Super Bowl that will get beat in pass coverage. So it just happens. So
yeah, when you're trying to defend Jackson Smith and Jigba,
yeah,
there's opportunity to get burned there.
Yeah, and those guys know where they're going. You don't know where they're going. You have to guess and work your technique to go with them. So, DBs, this is a really good addition to this group. Coach Hughes should be really proud of any of the groups. He should be as proud of this group as any of them. So,
Stone Perkins, Gavin Yates, Lions, 2 mid-year enrollees as freshmen, like Chris mentioned. Franklin, Jackson, and Smith all coming in as mid-year enrollee transfers, and then Deontay Griffin is going to join this summer as a transfer in from Ohio State. So players coming in from Ohio State, Purdue, Colorado State, Tennessee State, and then you mentioned the 2 high school players as well. So that's a group of 6 DBs that's joining the program. That's it. That's it right there. DBs, yeah. Linebackers, defensive line from a defensive standpoint. No specialists signed as of today. So it's offense, defense, and really good word for Ball State to be able to return a lot of specialists in that vein to where they don't have to go out and recruit more players from that standpoint. But what a group on this defensive side that's going to look a little bit different than last year.
Yeah, if you're a Ball State fan, this is a great time to be excited about this program. They brought in a lot of production and a lot of age to this group. Guys with experience, guys with snaps under their belt. And that's the biggest thing in college football is have guys who have snaps, who have played in real college games. Whether I don't care if it's Division II, Division III, FBS, FCS, Power 4, Group 5, whatever. If you've played snaps, you're going to be more adept at being productive than if you haven't. So when you bring guys in that have done that, been there, done that, you're gonna be in pretty good shape. And he's done, and Coach Hugh and his staff have done that. So it's pretty exciting, great time. You've got great names. You've got Ace, you've got Stone, you've got Maverick, Sincere, Stu. Stu's a great name, right? It's like you just said, it's a national class. I didn't count the states because I don't have that many hands and or fingers and toes. So, but it's you've got guys from all over the country. What I saw, one of the themes that I saw was you and I talked about this before you saw guys that come in where you can make a connection. Like, oh yeah, they probably knew about this guy before Wednesday, right?
Coach Hugh said that in the interview. He said he wanted to find people that they had reached out to or been in touch with over the last couple of years because it builds the trust.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what he said in his opening press conference of when you recruit players from all over the country and stay in touch with them, when they hit the portal, there's that prior conversation or that prior talking point that you can really build trust off of.
Yeah, you don't have to work that hard. You already know the kid. You already know his mom and dad, right? You already know who his high school coach was. You can say, hey, look, how's mom doing, or how's – oh, that's right. How's your little brother? Do you know what I mean? There's already that relationship there. They didn't have to work real hard. They already laid the ground. They laid the tracks years ago, 2 or 3 years ago when they first recruited the kid at another school, if they were at another school or, whatever. So, or if they missed on him, before. So that's great. That's part of it. And coaching, I've always said this is about relationships, and recruiting takes that relationship level to another, or takes relationships to another level in that, if they feel that you're sincere and they feel that you're genuine, they're going to play for you. They're going to find their way back to play for you, and that's what they've done with a few of these kids. So I think the quarterback room got a huge bump. We're going to miss Kyle Kelly, but we brought in two kids that I think they can do things for us. Wide receiver, running back rooms were already solid, really solid and squared away, and those rooms both got a huge bump. Like I said, the D line was the shiny star in my opinion. No offense to any of those other kids, but the D line group is the one that came in. And then the linebacker guys are the ones, they've got a lot of snaps under their belt. All these guys coming in. And that'll really help on Saturdays as we miss Joey and some of those other kids that played for us last year. These guys are going to come in and be able to play and carry on that, what has been a pretty good tradition at Ball State University, and having really, really solid linebacking play. And then the DBs they've got good size and speed. I love what Coach you said in your interview with him the other day. He talked about, they wanted to get faster. They wanted to get faster, right? They got faster. They really did. Sometimes you can work on getting faster, or you can just go find guys that are fast. And that's what they did. They found a lot of guys that are really fast. And I'll never forget what Coach Bill Lynch told me one year is we were sitting in a meeting or something like that, and he said something, we're out there. He looked at all of us, every single one of us. He said, we're out there trying to find your replacement right now. We're trying to find your replacement. Okay. And you're looking at him like, what did I do wrong? No, they're trying to find somebody better than you. They're trying to find somebody better than you. And it did two things. It either made you better so you couldn't be replaced, or they found somebody better than you and you were a better team, right? So, and that's what Coach U did. He went out and he found guys that are going to improve this program, which is his charge. He needs to make this program better. That's what he's doing. We just saw evidence. We've got empirical evidence from Wednesday. He did that. He found kids that are going to make this program better. Now, get him in the spring, get him through the summer, and let's go win some ball games.
Couldn't have said it any better. Ball State football, February 4th, big-time signings for this program. 25 transfers, 9 freshmen who had previously signed, but this is a great group. 21 of them coming in have FBS experience on a roster, in addition to the junior colleges and other divisions that were brought in as well. 21, though, of the 25 transfers having been on Division I FBS programs speaks volumes to the relationships and speaks volumes to what they're able to do in the portal this year. Can't wait to see it all unfold, Chris. We need to get to football season as soon as possible. The Ball State football account just posted pictures of all the snow out at Schumann Stadium, and you want to go shovel with me and get that off so we can get some football played?
No shot. Okay. I got a driveway that I got to worry about first. So if anybody's in the area, stop by, help a brother out.
I respect it. Well, Chris, I appreciate you. Can't wait to see what this football team does in the spring, summer, and ultimately the fall.